Since the unprovoked and dastardly attack by Japan on Sunday, December 7th, 1941, a state of war has existed between the United States and the Japanese Empire.
I never had the opportunity to know my grandfather, Robert Bruce Kilmer II, who we called Papa, very well until he passed away when I was the age of 3. Growing up, I've heard all about his story, but I never fully understood the magnitude of it until I began this documentary. Through research, I have learned that he was on his plane when it exploded, he helped with the French Resistance, and he was also a prisoner of war for 1 day short of a year. Papa's story is one of my family's greatest treasures, and I couldn't imagine creating a film on any other topic other than my family's very own war hero. Robert Bruce Kilmer II, married to Lois Florine, had 2 children, Kathy and Rob. By the time Papa passed away, he had 6 grandchildren and 2 great-grandchildren. Papa played baseball at Southern Methodist University, but his schooling was cut short because of the war. After the attack on Pearl Harbor in 1941, Papa, along with his 2 brothers, Tommy and Cal, decided they had to go to war to fight for their nation's freedom. The 3 brothers decided to enlist separately with the hope that they would save their parents from the heartache of having all 3 of their children gone at the same time. In 1942, Papa was called to duty and sworn in as an aviation cadet for the United States Air Corps. After a short period of training, Papa was deployed with the 384th Bomb Group to Grafton Underwood, England, to fight in the war. On the morning of his 18th mission, on October 14, 1943, also known as Black Thursday, Papa's life changed forever.
The mission now was the second Schweinfurt mission on October the 14th, 1943. And it was a very fateful day. Now, we had gone all the way into the target, and this was before there were any American fighter escorts. And we had gone all the way into the target, bombed the target. We were on our way out, and someplace over France is where we got hit by a 109, set our right wing tanks on fire, so it was time to get out. And when we decided to get out, why, everybody got out except the navigator and I. We were still on board when it blew up. And somebody upstairs took care of us because both of us came to and opened our parachutes.
After being shot down, Papa was captured by a member of the French Resistance and taken into shelter. After 6 months of working with the underground, Papa and his pilot were captured by the Germans at the end of April in 1944.
Yeah, so Bruce's story is very unique in that in the military we like to think of ourselves as brothers. We like to say sometimes brothers from another mother, but Bruce actually had 3 brothers in the service at the same time. His story was so unique and an inspiration to me as I look at my own, several times now in combat in Iraq, in more recent time. But what I look at for him, becoming a prisoner of war, his story of being shot down, his story of running with the French Resistance, sabotaging Germans was awesome. But the most inspiring thing that I could think of, is to actually be in a POW camp, and one day all the Germans leave, and then the next thing you see is a tank arrive on a hilltop as you're cooking your breakfast. Was Bruce's story. And then as he waited for the Americans who he knew had been coming, it was either going to be Americans or Russians, to actually have your own brother, who was part of Patton's army that had crossed Europe and invaded Germany, to actually be there at the camp and liberate you, and then to have the letter be sent home to your parents from your brother saying, "Hey, Mom, Dad, guess who I found today? Bruce." Just a hugely inspiring story for anyone that has ever read it or heard it from the man himself.
After spending 364 days in a POW camp and being liberated by his brother, Tommy sent a letter home to his parents. "Your box came yesterday, but I gave the stuff to a fella who needed it more than I did. You might know him. His name is Robert Bruce Kilmer Jr. Yes, I found Bruce. I can't tell you all the circumstances and location now, but he will tell you when he gets home, which will be very soon." Once Bruce successfully made it home, he went on to marry the love of his life, Flo, and start a family. His story continued to inspire generations after.